I'm starting to paint clusters. I load golden yellow into my brush and with dabbing I paint the top foliage, leaving small dots on the paper. I apply light pressure to the brush. I move on to the next cluster, now the third cluster I'm painting. I really like these tree shapes. Such trees grow in my city and for some reason they often grow in this shape. In the fall they are just generally look amazing. I paint another cluster. I don't completely paint over these clusters, leaving spaces for the next hues for medium and dark. This will be the lightest hue. We painted the main leaves in a light tone and move to the mid-tone. I load cadmium orange into my brush and apply it to each foliage cluster. Overwrap golden yellow a bit, allowing pigments to blend and go a little lower, but I leave some spaces between two spots, top and bottom clusters. Don't forget to also load your brush with pigment, because it gradually finishes, you can see it in your strokes. If you have more thickened pigment on the palette, just add some water. We are now doing the main work, showing the shape of the tree while not making details, leaves, branches, etc. I move to darker tones and paint below the mid-tone orange, slightly overlapping the previous layer and down to the bottom cluster. Paint dark shadows on each cluster. The sun touches our tree somewhere in the middle left, so tops are illuminated and have the lightest shades. The bottom is in the shadow. Slowly add different hues to each cluster. You can change it. Anyway, already make more such lines, dots and strokes, making a more raw shape for the tree. Add more texture to the branches again. Don't forget to leave white gaps between your strokes. Now I add small details. I paint a more fluffy look around the edges, so yeah, I add more details to the tops of the branches. I load golden yellow into my brush and add more top leaves with different strokes and dabs to make tree look more interesting and dynamic. It gives a beautiful look, gradually adding details here and there. You may look at your work from the other side and feel maybe something is missing somewhere, but in general don't overdo your work. And I'm going to paint a trunk. I will connect branches together into one tree. Don't forget we paint the trunk in the middle of the foliage. I started painting a line on the left side and connecting to the lower branch, adding on the right side and moving the branch from it to the bottom as well. I paint my branches and the trunk with a mix of burnt sienna and Payne's Grey. I added a small branch in the middle to show this tree has different branches and shapes. I do shadows with intense pigment on the left side of the trunk. I rinse my brush in water and wipe it on a paper towel. With a clean brush and some water on it, I drag the pigment and it will be blend smoothly on the right side. If you think you have too much pigment, you can always remove it with a clean brush. The pigment just needs to lift up, or with a clean brush where you wanted to remove excess pigment. I darken the left side with a darker mix of burnt sienna with Payne's Grey to show shadows. You can add a little texture like different dots or lines. They will be blend smoothly because the bottom layers has not yet dried, and wet on wet technique will work. I'm going to put a line on the ground where the tree is and load water into my brush before washing off the pigment from my brush. I apply a line pulling the pigment down so that it also smoothly spreads into the water. At the bottom of the ground I add some mix of burnt sienna and cadmium orange to make it look like dark leaves have fallen to the ground. So I looked at my tree and I think it would be good to add a few more additional branches. So yeah, I add the branches first. With the tip of my brush I paint thinner branches on the right side and on the left side of the tree. Add additional branches where we will apply foliage later. Connect clusters of leaves together. Work carefully, don't press hard on your brush. Probably use a size 2 round brush so you don't get very thick lines. You can add as many branches as you want, as you see for yourself, and then add to them the foliage with colors we used in this work, but don't overdo it. I paint the foliage on top, the side branches in orange leaves, and the bottom also, gradually filling the space with dabbing lines. On the right side I fill the branches so the tree gets wide, and add a mix of burnt sienna and orange. Add shadows to these branches to show their depth, especially I try to work with edges of our foliage of each branch, making them more fluffy, sticking out in different directions. You can add or remove branches as you like, it all depends on you. It all depends on how you want, because trees are different. I think it would be nice to add some more branches. They will slightly go beyond the foliage and that's amazing. This tree is done. We have already painted and we can look at our result.